Magic Kingdom is getting a brand new Villains Land. A Coco Ride is coming to Disneyland. Hollywood Studios is getting a Monsters Inc. land. Disney Cruise Line has 4 more new ships coming. Basically, the biggest Disney news event from the last several years just happened. We learned about over 20 new projects and way more updates, and I'm taking you through it all right now. Who's my cameraman, you guys? Give me your best guess. Okay, back at the hotel room. I just left the Disney Experiences showcase at the 2024 D23 Expo. I made it back here. I took off my Beulah, the country bear costume that I was wearing all day, and then I inhaled boneless chicken wings at a rate that I think anyone who witnessed it would have called alarming. Luckily, you didn't have to witness it, and let's not dwell on that. We have news to talk about, baby, a lot of news. It is the middle of the night. So if you're like, wow, she's a little loopy, don't worry about it. We got news to talk about. We're gonna start with my bread and butter, baby, Disney World. And you are not gonna believe some of the announcements we heard for Disney World. So first of all, we're gonna start with the biggest. Everyone's talking about it, the Villains Land coming to Magic Kingdom. Now, as you might know, the Villains Land was initially teased as one of Disney's blue sky options. The thing about Disney is that they've been releasing these blue sky ideas for a few years now, and that means like things that we could do, things that we're toying around with, but not things that we will do. It's gotten people kind of frustrated, and at this year's D23 Expo, Josh D'Amaro, the chairman of Disney Experiences, said, "We will not be saying a single blue sky idea during this showcase. Instead, everything is something that is already in progress." All of this is happening. Villains Land included. It is coming to Magic Kingdom. We already know that the Villains Land will include 2 attractions plus shopping and dining. Of course, it will be themed to all of your favorite Disney villains. We saw some signs of Maleficent, some signs of Ursula. This will be the biggest expansion in Magic Kingdom history since it opened 50 plus years ago. And Josh D'Amaro called it a fearless new vision for what a Disney experience could be. They are about to start construction, about to start moving Earth, as D'Amaro said, but there is no timeline announced. Now, we do know that big projects like this, huge land additions like Galaxy's Edge or Pandora, can take 4 to 6 years, was about how long those 2 projects took. So we're thinking like late 2020s, maybe 2030 kind of timeline for this. Would be when we're like walking in it, when it's open. That's all they explicitly said, but I do want to talk about a couple of things that I've already noticed in the concept art. Most exciting, on the left side of the concept art here, you can see that there appears to be a roller coaster where the track looks like brambles and thorns from when Maleficent kind of enacts her curse on Sleeping Beauty. And sure enough, you can see Maleficent in dragon form right next to this ride and her castle. So I wonder if this is all a big roller coaster, including sort of those aspects. And then I bet this big building on the right is the other ride, but I think they've kept it intentionally vague because I can't really identify this as from any movie. If anyone has any theories of what the second Villains Land ride could be, drop it in the comments. So that's Beyond Big Thunder. That'll be an entirely new land, but speaking of Big Thunder, Frontierland is apparently getting an update, and I have things to say about this one. So apparently a reimagined piece of Frontierland will be becoming a Cars section. And this is really interesting. It is not going to be a carbon copy of Cars Land in Disney California Adventure over in California. Instead, it's going to be the cars leaving Radiator Springs behind and kind of journeying through the wilderness of the Western United States. And there are 2 attractions that are coming with this. One, the concept art looks very similar to Radiator Springs Racers, but with a different vibe, a more wilderness vibe. And Josh Morrell said something about off-road tires. So I do think this one is going to have a bit more of like an off-roading adventure kind of vibe. Past geysers, around mountains, through mud puddles, things like that. And they didn't say much about the other ride, but they did say it was going to be made for smaller racers. That could easily be just a rehash of the Mater's Junkyard Jamboree attraction or Luigi's Rollick and Roadsters here at Disney California Adventure. They did share where Cars Land is going. It is actually going to replace Tom Sawyer Island and the entire Rivers of America with the new Cars section. That means, yes, they are filling in the Rivers of America. I imagine it means we're saying goodbye to the Liberty Bell Riverboat and goodbye to Tom Sawyer Island. This is interesting because it does really change the way that, like, the makeup and the character of Magic Kingdom. So the concept art looks wild, but it's a big change. So I don't know. Let me know what you guys are thinking about that in the comments. Let's talk about nighttime parades. Baby, nighttime parades are back. A Magic Kingdom of all places. Nighttime parades are wonderful. They're a delight. They're the perfect cap on a day before you, I guess, watch fireworks too. They're the first perfect cap of your Disney day. And we haven't had nighttime parade in Disney World in ages. I think it was like 2016 that the Main Street Electrical Parade went away and went back over to the West Coast, and then it retired completely, and now there's just like no nighttime parades in the US Disney parks. So they announced a nighttime parade. It is called Disney Starlight, and the plot of this parade is that the Blue Fairy's magic is going to take you through to see popular Disney stories like Peter Pan, Frozen, and Encanto. They mentioned that there will be new technology bringing this to life, and that it will debut in the summer of 2025. The final Magic Kingdom update is we did get an opening timeline for the new Pirate Tavern. Now this has already been announced, and we have a lot of questions about it. Mainly, our biggest ones is where is it going to be and will it serve alcohol? Because Magic Kingdom is a dry park as of now, except for in the table service restaurants where you can get some beer, wine, and cocktails. There's no like bars in Magic Kingdom. So will it serve alcohol? It is a pirate tavern. And where is it going to be? Theories have ranged for us from Tortuga Tavern, which recently did turn into a merchandise spot suddenly, or perhaps around the Pirates of the Caribbean exit. There's been a good amount of construction there, or maybe even where they used to do the pirate makeovers, but that might be too small. So not exactly sure where exactly it's going to be, but this concept art looks amazing. And I almost wonder if there's going to be like a live entertainment aspect. Over to Disney's Animal Kingdom, our next section. Now, we have known for a bit that Dinoland is getting replaced with the Tropical Americas. But all we'd really seen about that was some concept art, and again, this was kind of blue sky, so we didn't have anything confirmed. However, now we have some confirmations. So yes, absolutely, Tropical Americas will be replacing Dinoland with a new area called Pueblo de la Esperanza, which means Town of Hope. And this is going to be kind of in the vein of Harambe in Africa, in Disney's Animal Kingdom, where it's supposed to have that like lived-in town vibe before the Tropical Americas region. They told us about two major attractions and another attraction coming to this area. The lesser attraction is a carousel, where one of the local woodworkers has carved renditions of famous Disney animals for you to ride on this carousel. And we are getting a sneak peek tomorrow morning, which should be right here in this video, if I send it to my editor in time, where you can see what some of that woodwork will look like. And it's very beautiful, I'm sure. The way they were describing it, it sounds wonderful. The bigger rides, we do know that we are saying goodbye to Dinosaur, which is very sad. I absolutely love that ride. We are instead getting an Indiana Jones attraction. It will be an all-new story, which is exciting. There is an Indiana Jones attraction in Disneyland, and I think there was a lot of concern that it was going to be a carbon copy or maybe a truncated version. Nope, totally new story. Basically, in this, you are venturing into Mayan ruins alongside Indiana Jones, who has heard tell of a mythical creature within. So we gotta venture in and find out. I think the exterior of this ride looks a lot like the exterior of the Indiana Jones ride in Tokyo Disney Sea. However, it's an entirely new story, so it's not going to be the same ride as is out there. The other e-ticket big attraction that's going to be in this area is an Encanto attraction where you get to venture inside Casita on the day that Antonio receives his gift, which fittingly for Animal Kingdom is speaking to animals. So there's probably going to be a lot of critters around the house. You're going to see a lot of the Madrigal family, including Bruno. Oh, sorry, we're not supposed to talk about him. And it all culminates in a visit to Antonio's room, which has turned into a rainforest. And the concept art for this looks awesome. I am wondering if this is going to have kind of like a Mystic Manor sort of vibe from Hong Kong Disneyland, which is their version of Haunted Mansion. And it's just like it's like a mystical manor. And I wonder if Casita is going to feel a little bit like that. I'm very excited for this one. I love a new storytelling ride like this. We also know that there will be a big fountain, which will ostensibly be the gathering place for the citizens of the town. And we know that there will be a hacienda, which I imagine will be the retheme of Restaurantosaurus, to be a very large quick service restaurant. The other news in Animal Kingdom is that the Zootopia show that we have heard is coming to the Tree of Life Theater absolutely is. It is called Zootopia Better Together, and it will be debuting in winter of 2025. Now what this means is we're probably also saying goodbye to It's Tough to Be a Bug slightly before that. So if you do love that one, be prepared to, I think, give it its farewells. Shock announcement that we weren't expecting at all. There are sirens outside. Shock announcement that we weren't expecting at all is that Hollywood Studios is getting a new land. A new Monsters, Inc. land. That's right, Monstropolis. We're going to be able to go there. I am so thrilled with this. This is one of my 2 favorite announcements that they made at D23 this year. A Monsters, Inc. land in Hollywood Studios. How cool. I just really wasn't expecting anything for Hollywood Studios, much less an entirely new land. Because in the last decade, Hollywood Studios actually has gotten a lot of new stuff, a lot of attention. And I just think a Monsters, Inc. land is such a great, idea. And I think it fits so well in Hollywood Studios. But we don't know a ton about this yet, except we do know a good bit about the attraction. The new land is going to feature, shopping and dining, etc. The new attraction is going to be a Doors ride. And the reason I'm singing that is because you know when someone asks you, if you could turn anything into a ride, what would you turn into a ride? My favorite answer is the Monsters, Inc. Doors. Because it would just look so fun, even though it's, threatening and horrifying, when Sully is riding on the doors around trying to get Boo away from Randall. It just looks so cool. And Disney's doing it. And get this, it's going to be Disney's first ever suspended roller coaster. So your feet are going to dangle. You're going to be basically in the position that the doors are in, kind of getting whisked around. And Josh D'Amaro also mentioned something specific about how in the movies you see the claw come down, grab a door, pick it up, take it out of place, and then move it. And he said that that will be happening on this ride to you, which is pretty cool. Of course, the story of this land will be that humans are invited into Monstropolis and that the monsters need our laughs to power the city, so I'm sure it'll be a rollicking good time. Some things I'm noticing in the concept art is some pretty wild ice cream and Harryhausen's, which is the sushi restaurant in Monsters, Inc. And I would love a sushi restaurant in Hollywood Studios. There's a big question for this one of where as well. I mean, it could be an entirely new area of the park. It could also be a retheme of the Rock and Roller Coaster or Lightning McQueen areas of the park. Could also be a retheme of Grand Avenue where Muppet Vision 3D is. It's hard to say. It could be it could really be, there's a bunch of spaces in Hollywood Studios that could have this happen. Sticking in Hollywood Studios, let's cruise over to Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, where there will be an update coming to Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run. So this ride will be getting a new storyline. It will be getting a storyline that features Mandalorian and Grogu that will coincide with the release of the Mandalorian and Grogu movie that is coming in 2026. This is really cool. I'm excited for this to get a new storyline because I do think a big complaint about this ride is that it's very it doesn't have a lot of re-rideability. It's not the most exciting, and once you've done it once, you maybe don't need to do it again. I'm personally wondering if this is going to be a rotational storyline where it's a different, it's when you ride it, you could get one or the other, or if it's just going to flat out replace the current Hondo Ohnaka Chewbacca storyline. The other cool thing about this is they are going to be using Unreal Engine for this. Unreal Engine is a big software major that they use to build video games and also helped build the environments in some of the more current Star Wars media, and they are using Unreal Engine to create sort of the environment for this ride, which I think will be really cool. I'm excited to see if it makes a difference between the current version of the ride and the new one. All right, mentally hop on the Skyliner with me and cruise across to Epcot. We have to get off at Caribbean Beach and transfer, but then keep cruising and go to Epcot. Epcot, not too much. It was kind of neglected when it comes to the news, but there were a couple of things. For one, Test Track will officially be reopening in 2025. You probably know, because it's been under construction for a bit, that Test Track is currently under construction, getting some updates. We got a couple more details in addition to that opening date, such as the fact that the queue will have 6 exhibits that take guests through the history of vehicles. And there will be entirely new show scenes showing the history of technological advances and culminating in a scenic outdoor like spin. What do they call it? Scenic outdoor route. Of course, this sort of reimagining of Test Track is calling back to World of Motion in many ways. So if you're an Epcot originalist, that probably sounds familiar. Also, another surprise, Epcot's apparently getting a new lounge. They said the word classy about 177 times when referring to said lounge. It is a Spaceship Earth lounge, and they didn't share many details about it, but if we're looking at the concept art, I believe this is in the space that is in the Spaceship Earth building. If you're looking at the back of Spaceship Earth, you can see these windows, if I'm right. And if you look at the view that they have out the windows, it's looking at a straight shot through the Center of World Celebration. You can see the Imagination Pavilion and Into World Showcase. I think that this is that space on the back of Spaceship Earth, which I believe is used as an event space and a meeting space, if it's even used at all anymore. So I'm excited for a classy, schmancy, fancy lounge in Epcot, where you can see fireworks views too. Okay, let's head across the country to talk about Disneyland now. I'm very excited about this one because it is the second of my favorite pieces of news from tonight. It is a Coco Ride. Now, if you've watched the channel before, you probably know that I am a huge fan of Coco. It is one of my favorite movies. I have seen it probably around 100 times. I love it so much. And I have been wanting them to turn Grand Fiesta Tour in Epcot into a Coco Ride. I apologize to the Three Caballeros purists. And I kind of agree with you, but not in matters of Coco. It's going to show up in Disney California Adventure. It is going to be a boat ride, and Josh D'Amaro specifically mentioned that they're taking inspiration from Haunted Mansion and Pirates of the Caribbean to inform this boat ride, using audio animatronic technology to really show those characters in the land of the dead. Construction will start in 2026, and we're not sure exactly where this ride will end up. But I was talking to our Disneyland reporter, and we were thinking that it might make sense for it to be sort of in that dead corner of DCA over by the Fiesta, and maybe just become an extension of Pixar Pier. And that's not the only thing Disney California Adventure is getting. They are also getting a whole Avatar land. Disney has said that Disneyland would be getting something Avatar, but they've just been calling it an Avatar experience, and now we know a whole lot more about it. There will be a full Avatar land coming to Disney California Adventure. And nope, it will not be a carbon copy of the one in Disney World. Instead of being themed to more the first Avatar valley sort of forest vibe, like the Pandora in Disney World is, this will be themed to the second movie, Way of Water, and the upcoming third movie, Fire and Ash, as well as the Avatar movies coming beyond those two. So the theme of this one is going to be a lot more aquatic, a lot more coastal, still getting to know a different part of Pandora. That will be added to Disney California Adventure. We're also not sure where we'll see this one, but we'll be keeping a really close eye on it. So we will let you know as soon as we know where this stuff is going to land in the park. What's exciting here is they did actually tell us about the attraction that will be in this land too. It is a boat ride, but it does not look like Navi River Journey. They are much larger boats. They look a lot more reactive, and the ride is more of an adventurous story. It takes you all around Pandora. It has you sort of cruising through the forest and then out onto the open ocean. There are even elements of danger because Pandora is, of course, a dangerous place. The concept art for this is really, really beautiful, and if it is like a boat ride with a little bit more thrilling of a storyline, I think we're in for a winner. But I'm excited to learn a lot more about this one. Strolling down Main Street, USA, let's take a gander at the Main Street Opera House. This is where you can currently find great moments with Mr. Lincoln, an absolutely historic Disney attraction. The original Abraham Lincoln animatronic was one that Walt Disney worked very closely on, and when it debuted, it was so realistic that people threw pennies at it to try to make it flinch and see that it was an actor. There's a more recent, updated version of that animatronic currently doing the same show that was shown at the World's Fair where it debuted, and that happens in the Opera House on Main Street, USA. Now, it's not a super popular show. Typically, the theater's pretty empty and you can take a nap in there. They are adding a new Walt Disney show to this theater. The show will be called Walt Disney: A Magical Life and will feature Walt in his office, and it's supposed to take you in to see what it might have been like to work with Walt and listen to him talk about his dreams. This looks really cool. The concept art has the animatronic kind of leaning up on a table, which looks really natural. And I just think this is such a spectacular way to memorialize Walt. especially because of his own love of the audio animatronic technology. And even better, they're not getting rid of Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln. It's just going to be a rotating show. So you'll be able to see both the Walt Disney Show and the Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln show. And that is set to debut in 2025. Of course, Disneyland already has a ride well under construction that we have recently opened in Disney World, Tiana's Bayou Adventure. Tiana's Bayou Adventure is the retheme of Splash Mountain. It does take you on a trip down the bayou with Tiana, as well as many other familiar faces from Princess and the Frog. And Disneyland's version has been under construction for a minute, but we now finally have an opening timeline. Disney shared that the ride will be opening November 15th. And we can expect the name of the land it's in, Critter Country, to be renamed to Bayou Country. It'll still have the Winnie the Pooh ride and such. They're just giving it a little rename. Now, of course, that was a hop over to Disneyland, but would you believe me if I said we weren't done at Disney California Adventure? Avengers Campus and Disney California Adventure is also getting an update. We've known that a new e-ticket attraction was coming to Avengers Campus since it opened. It was supposed to be sort of the phase 2, and it has been many years since then. But the Quinjet building has room for an attraction, and it was always supposed to have an attraction. And now we know exactly what that attraction will be. It is called Avengers Infinity Defense, and it has you testing out some new technology from Stark Industries that can create portals to other worlds. Now, that portal technology gets stolen by none other than King Thanos, and you end up working alongside the Avengers, hopping through these portals to different worlds to fight off Thanos and his armies. They did share that this will take us to such famous Marvel worlds as Asgard and Wakanda, and even the mystical realm of New York City. I've always wished it was real. I go to New York like once a year. Now, the shock here was Disney also announced a second new ride coming to Avengers Campus with Stark Flight Lab. Now, this attraction looks a whole lot like Forbidden Journey, Harry Potter and the Forbidden Journey at Universal, where you kind of sit in a seat and then an arm grabs your seat, lifts you up, and you're in the seat, and it sort of can like zoom you around like this, while the arm is also moving along a track. It makes for a very unique movement system. And in this ride, it's supposed to be that this is where like Tony Stark and others do some of their inventing at Avengers Campus. And they've got some tech that can make it feel like you're flying just a little bit like Iron Man. Construction on both of these attractions begins next year, and for the Stark Flight Lab attraction, we already know that it's well underway because they did share a picture of Bob Iger and Robert Downey Jr. riding it together, or at least sitting in this vehicle. Now, we've got to talk international parks, but before we do, let's talk 7 Seas. We got some Disney Cruise Line updates, one of which, very shocking. Emma and DFB Cassie are here to do a live reenactment of the Deadpool section of the showcase.
You say Deadpool, I'll be the dancers.
Okay. I don't think you can make me.
Oh! There's a wig on her face! Chrissy's wig! I have a wig!
And that's pretty much what the Deadpool section was like at the showcase. So basically, we got a couple little updates, but there was one very big, very surprising updates that we were all kind of like, huh? But the little updates were fun too. We did get an update on the Disney Treasure Signature Show, which is Disney Tale of Moana. This show we did know was going to be the Moana show, but we got to see concept art of the new show with a climactic fight scene between Moana and Te Kā. And this is going to have a 50-foot tall Te Kā puppet, the largest puppet ever created for Disney Cruise Line. The concept art looks amazing, so can't wait to see this show, and I think it's going to be a blast for people sailing on Treasure. Speaking of shows, we also got confirmation, which I guessed this, and I texted Emma about it because she loves Hercules. But we got confirmation that the Disney Destiny show will be Disney Hercules, which is going to be awesome.
I wanted to say something, but I was scared to interrupt again.
If it's productive, you could interrupt.
I love Hercules.
That's productive. Sometimes you guys are just hacking in the sink.
I don't like the image of hacking in the sink. Can you cut that immediately?
She was actually just washing her hands like a really gentle woman.
I hope you know that the more you talk about it, the more it's going to be in the video. But those are the little updates because they dropped crazy news that, okay, let's get some context here. Disney Cruise Line currently sailing has 5 ships. You got the Magic, the Wonder, the Wish, the Fantasy, the Dream. I did not do those in order, but that's the 5 ships that are sailing. We also have 4 confirmed ships coming soon. We have the Treasure, the Destiny, and the Adventure. And then there's also a ship that we don't have the name of yet that will be sailing from Japan. Then they just announced they're going to do 4 more ships. 4 more ships sailing between 2027 and 2031. So by 2031, Disney Cruise Line will have a 13-ship fleet. We don't know anything about the itineraries. We don't know anything about the names of the ships or the themes of the ships yet, but we do know that 4 more ships will be coming. And they did use the word sailing in more destinations around the world. So looks like Disney Cruise Line will be sailing maybe farther and wider. But that's our on the seas news. So now we can go to our over the seas news and talk about the international parks, which have some exciting news as well. So Disney did announce there will be a couple of new nighttime shows at the interactive parks. Interactive? What are you doing over there? The international parks have a couple of new nighttime spectaculars coming. For instance, Tokyo Disneyland will be getting a new nighttime spectacular. Disneyland Paris will be getting a new nighttime spectacular with projections going down Main Street for the first time. There will be a new show at the new water area in the Disney Adventure Park, which is the new name for Walt Disney Studios Park in Disneyland Paris. And that one's gonna have drones and be a 360 show. Sounds really exciting. So lots of new shows coming around the world. But there's much bigger stuff than just some new nighttime spectaculars coming to these parks as well. For instance, Disneyland Paris in Disney Adventure Park is getting a new Lion King themed land. A whole land themed to Lion King. I did not see this coming. I'm very excited about it because the Lion King rules. And it's going to be very, very beautiful if the concept art is any indication. The attraction that they've teased in this land is a log flume style attraction that looks a whole lot like Tiana's Bayou Adventure / Splash Mountain, if you're more familiar with that. It is themed to Pride Rock, so it will be Pride Rock towering over this area of the park. And the story takes you through Simba's journey from kid to king. This Pride Lands area will include dining, shopping, character meet and greets, and more for you to explore. It looks really awesome. There's no particular timeline on this yet, but we do know that this will be one of several additions like that nighttime show coming in 2026 and the Frozen Land that we've known about for a while in Disneyland Paris, which is now confirmed to open in 2026. Some of the international parks are also getting some pretty exciting Marvel additions. Very, very exciting stuff here. Let's start with Shanghai Disneyland, which is getting a new Spider-Man roller coaster. And by the way the concept art looks, this looks like it might be a similar ride system to Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind, but Spider-Man version. It also looks like it'll be partially outside, at least, because it does look like the ride vehicle is coming in from outside here. Looks pretty awesome. They were pretty vague about it, but they did say that it was going to be very thrilling, and just by the way the ride vehicles work, I think we might be in for another rendition of Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind. And then Hong Kong Disneyland does already have a Marvel section kind of attached to their Tomorrowland in Hong Kong Disneyland. You can actually see that in Emma and Mai's Perfect Day in Hong Kong Disneyland, where we did explore Stark Expo, which is what that area is called.
Check it out.
Check it out. It currently has 2 main attractions and a meet and greet. The attraction is a Star Tours style Iron Man ride. And then there is also a sort of Buzz Lightyear Blasters style Ant-Man and the Wasp ride, which was actually really cool. The attraction that will be added to Hong Kong's Stark Expo is going to be a Spider-Man attraction as well. And they were really light on the details here, but we did get concept art. And the vibe is kind of Tower of Terror, Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout, which I was like, well, that's kind of major. But they specifically said the words, this is going to be huge, literally. So maybe it is something like a tower style attraction. What makes me so excited about this ride is that not only do I love Spider-Man, but this has Spider-Man and the other Avengers having to fight off a very iconic Spider-Man villain, which as you can see in the concept art is Doc Ock, who's my second favorite Spider-Man villain. Which I don't think is, I think that's like everybody's second favorite Spider-Man villain. Green Goblin. So tons of new stuff coming to the parks and Disney Cruise that we learned about tonight. It's really looking like a pretty exciting few years. You'll notice most everything that I said is coming like in a minute. Like there's a little bit of kind of a leadway on things. A lot of stuff is coming in 2025, or construction is starting in 2025, but it looks like once these updates start to kick off, they sort of don't stop for many years. So pretty exciting future here for Disney World, Disneyland, the international parks, and Disney Cruise Line. And there were a couple other highlights of the showcase and D23 Expo in general that I think you might want to know about. For instance, the showcase had a lot of Fortnite talk. If you like Fortnite and Disney, I think that you have found yourself in a promising time, my friend. They spent like, what do you guys think, 20, 30 minutes talking about Fortnite?
I would say probably 5.5, 6 hours.
Yeah, 5.5, 6 hours talking about Fortnite.
Most likely, I'd say 2, 4, 7 days.
Yeah, it kept going. And what I was surprised by was they brought out the head of Pixar, the head of Walt Disney Imagination, the head of Marvel, and the head of Star Wars to all discuss Fortnite for a long time. I have never played Fortnite. I play games, but not Fortnite. But it seems exciting. They're bringing Pixar characters, they're bringing Marvel characters, Star Wars characters, and Walt Disney Animation characters all to Fortnite. They're bringing a fish pool skin to Fortnite. If you're a Fortnite player, it is a golden time to be alive. Speaking of fish pool, there was quite a lot of Deadpool representation at the parks showcase, as you saw by the reenactment earlier, which was so similar that it was like you were seeing the Deadpool part from the showcase. No! And to talk about some of the D23 highlights, we're going to head to our reporters on the ground on the expo floor. I think you'll recognize them. They're quite professional and very good at the things that they do, and they are on the expo floor. So we're going to head over to them.
Who is it?
I don't know.
Nobody on our team.
Definitely not us. Okay, I am back at D23. We got to see some beginning models of the rockwork that will be coming to Disneyland's Pandora experience. It looks really amazing. It looks like it holds up to the standards of the rockwork of current Pandora, but definitely has a whole new design. So I'm very excited about that. We also got to see a model of Casita, which is so cool, and a full model of Tropical Americas. I want to dive into this model just a little bit while we're here. Looks like absolutely yes, the play area that was the boneyard will be gone with this change. You can see right as you enter, the carousel is going to be on the left here. There are lots of little buildings throughout this area that could be quick service snack stands, meet and greet locations, and things like that. Going to the right, you'll see where Dynamite Snacks and Restaurantosaurus currently are. This is likely going to be that largest quick service in Disney World Hacienda that they announced. Continuing on, we go back towards where Dinosaur is, and that's where you do see the Indiana Jones ride. It looks like they are keeping the original ride building here. Next up, we have a greenery space that it doesn't look like they're changing. That's where those pathways are right now, where you can meet Chip and Dale and Daisy. Continuing, we're going counterclockwise, I guess. We've got the store, Chester and Hester's. Looks like they're keeping the same store building there, but it will undoubtedly have a retheme so that it fits with the new land. Then we find Casita. The ride building for this is massive, and Emma and I definitely think that this model also has Mystic Manor vibes from Hong Kong Disneyland. So potentially, you know, maybe it could be cool if it had some of the tech represented there. There is a little building on the left of Casita that could be retail space for when you exit the ride. It could also be outdoor queue space or covered queue space or indoor queue space. Then if we come down in front of Casita, there's a ton of added greenery here. And it does look like there are some pathways with walls that do have signage. You come below that, you're back at the carousel building, the carousel queue building. In the center of all of this, there is a nice communal sort of fountain area with some seating. And it does look like there's a ton of shade. So Tropical Americas looks very exciting. They also showed us one of the completed carousel creatures that will be on the carousel in Tropical Americas. It is Kevin, and this absolutely looks like it's actually hand carved and hand painted. Who knows if it is? It could be. I don't think it's actually wood because I don't think that would be a sustainable material to use for a carousel attraction. However, it does look a lot like real wood. My biggest thinking here is how comfortable is this actually going to be? Because that seat is very squared off. I think wood has really, like, you know, it can have more rigid shapes. So I'm wondering how they'll make the seats comfortable. For the Lion King edition coming to Disneyland Paris Resort at Disney Adventure Park, we do get to see a bit of that edition here. It looks like a relatively small area. It will be located on the back of the new lake that is coming to the park, right next to the new Frozen Land. It does have the large Splash Mountain attraction as kind of the main event here, but you can also see some other locations that can be used for those meet and greets, the shopping, and the dining, all located around the area as well. This was the most surprising reveal at the Imagineering booth this morning. It was that monster Monsters Inc. attraction model. You can see completely the track that they're thinking of for this. It looks unbelievably cool. I cannot wait to experience this. And it looks like a bit of a wild ride, which I hope it is. And that's the Disney Parks news from D23. We will be keeping you updated on all of these projects, and we'll be doing some speculation, some guessing, some very educated guessing, some theorizing. So keep an eye on AllEars.net, and of course keep watching the videos. If you like this video, go ahead and like and subscribe.